Hi everyone, we are in Athens, the land that gave birth to the philosophy, to the thought and to the logos. And we are here at the opening of the third World Congress of Existential Therapy. So let's have a look.
The city of Athens, rich with the profound depth of history that has shaped the Western civilization, hosts the Third World Congress of Existential Therapy in May 2023, organized by GINISTAI, the Hellenic Association for Existential Psychology. This gathering is an excellent scaffold for us to explore the essence of life, our very existence in the present moment, while we are acknowledging our deep-seated roots and envisioning the path we are carving into the future. In the spirit of Heraclitus, who insightfully affirmed that everything flows and nothing remains, we are reminded that just as the river's water is ceaselessly moving, so are we, constantly transforming from one moment to another. He invites us to see our existence as a river, our biological and social history feeding its source, always present and flowing, carrying us towards a future we shape with our inherent freedom. Heraclitus also asserts the cyclic nature of existence, the beginning and the end merging in a harmonious circle. Every person has the privilege of embarking on a journey of self-discovery within this continuous ebb and flow of life. The Third World Congress of Existential Therapy is an embodiment of these timeless philosophies, fostering a platform where participants explore life and existence within the framework of the vibrant Athenian backdrop steeped in profound historical heritage. The Congress offers a plethora of opportunities for exploration and learning. Renowned keynote speakers like Emmy van Deurzen, Alfred Langley, Ernesto Spinelli, Susanna Signorelli, Kirk Schneider, and Eric Craig, coming from all over the world, lead the discourse. Individual presentations, roundtables, debates, workshops, and poster presentations further enrich the Congress, allowing participants from across the globe to share their experiences, wisdom, and multicultural insights.
But at this Congress, we will be launching a new thing which is called the Existential Movement, and there will be an international board of advisors for that. And this is about bringing the ideas of existential psychotherapy to a wider public worldwide, and to make a difference in the world, and to actually enable people to live in the ways that we know as existential therapists it is possible to do.
During the Congress, I had a remarkable opportunity of encountering Professor Emmy van Deurzen, a distinguished figure in existential therapy. With a background in philosophy, psychology and psychotherapy, Professor van Deurzen has been a guiding force in existential therapy since the early 70s. Born in the Netherlands, her journey began in France and progressed in the United Kingdom. From there, her influence has reached out across the globe as she has taught and lectured on existential therapy. Van Deurzen's approach is unique, combining various philosophical insights to help clients grapple with a fundamental existential question: how can I live a better life? She believes life is an ongoing challenge where moments of calm and happiness are exceptions rather than the norm, and difficulties arise when people resist facing the reality of their complex existences. Emmy is not just a practitioner and teacher. As an emeritus professor at 5 universities, she is the author of 17 books and numerous articles and papers, with her works having been translated into multiple languages. She's made significant contributions to the field with well-known books like Everyday Mysteries, Paradox and Passion in Psychotherapy, and Existential Counseling and Psychotherapy in Practice. She's also made her mark as the founder of the Society for Existential Analysis and 2 leading institutions, the School of Psychology and Psychotherapy at Regents and the New School of Psychotherapy and Counseling at the Existential Academy in London, where she currently serves as a principal. For me, as a trainee at her school, it's an incredible opportunity to be able to engage with her and ask Emmy a few questions today. this conversation I'm thrilled to share with you all.
Right.
And now we are here in Athens,
We are.
gathering here the cradle of Western civilization
Indeed.
and the philosophy, the culture.
Yeah.
And we're attending the Third World Congress of Existential Therapy.
Yeah.
And from today, from looking forward to the future, how do you see the next event and maybe your wildest dream or most ambitious thought about it, how it might look, what it might contain, maybe some breakthrough ideas, new presenters. Yes.
Well, the next Congress will be in Denver, Colorado, United States.
Yeah.
So that will be a very different atmosphere again. And as you know, the previous one was in Buenos Aires in Latin America, and the first one was in London. So as we shift from country to country, obviously we add cultural richness and understanding of human existence. So that in itself, this migrating Congress is building that movement. And as I said at the Congress, what I've just started with is an existential movement that goes beyond psychotherapy and counseling, to spread it to ordinary people and to organizations and institutions that really need space to reflect and to think about what they're doing in their lives and to the world in different ways. And so my hope is that will have a huge impact on how we learn about human beings and how we understand what can be done when human beings take back this Athenian philosophy, which is about dialogue and which is about thinking about what we take for granted and questioning it and examining ourselves and examining ourselves with each other and building from there better structures for us to live with and better ideas to work with and better cities to live in and a better world to keep the planet safe with. There are lots of dimensions to this and it's much needed.
Yeah, so you already touched this topic of the existential movement, which you're kind of a drive force behind it in a way. And how do you think any practical maybe tools of the existential thought that might be kind of used for the social change, for the general human development?
Yes,
what
well,
might contribute?
This is something very important to get our heads around, because right now, as you know, the literature of existential psychotherapy and even counseling is quite academic and quite dense and quite difficult to get your head around. And so we need something much more down to earth, which speaks to ordinary people's experience and which will allow them to connect to it and to feel that this is what they've been looking for, rather than this is something for people who have an academic background or who are trained as psychotherapists and counselors. We are isolating ourselves, and that's the opposite of what we want to be doing, isn't it? We want to work with people who need to live better and to overcome their problems. So we need to learn to speak to them and reach out to them rather than wait for them to find us in our consulting rooms.
Sounds terrific. And how do you value the existential therapy today? How do you see it? How do you feel about it?
I feel really exuberant about it, because when I began to call myself an existential therapist in the early 1970s, there was no such thing as existential therapy, and people were very puzzled about it. And when I carried on doing this in the 80s, people used to say, you are a bit of a leftover of the 60s. You're going back to these sort of feely, touchy things. And they didn't really understand.
Detached from the reality
what we were talking about. But now, it's grown into a really strong movement that's developed all around the world, and that just amazes me. When I speak to our Chinese colleagues, or, we have a whole group of South Korean students here who tell me they have created a training for existential therapy in Korea. And I know three of my books have been translated into Korean. And it's like, how did this happen? How did these people discover these ideas? And how has it happened that from, as you say, it being a European thing and a Western thing, it has connected to people elsewhere, and they have found a way to reinterpret it and find it relevant to the way they live and to add to it. So we get an existential view that is not just based in Athenian philosophy and Western culture, but an existential therapy which is full of conflicts and contradictions and difference and variety and many different perspectives about these same issues. And then what do we find? My God, it's astonishing that actually we have so much more in common than what divides us, to coin a phrase. And that actually human beings everywhere in the world, north or south, east or west, are struggling with the exact same human issues. Temporality, I am born, I'm going to die. What does it mean to be alive? Why am I here? Who am I? How am I going to live? What must I do? How can I be with other people in a better way? What do I do with my life? How can I help? How can I make myself safe? What happens when I'm ill? What happens when something horrible happens, like a war? What is my attitude to all of this? And how can I be better in my life? That is what people want to hear everywhere in the world. And nobody else is doing this.
And hearing you saying that brings me to the more practical kind of implementation of this approach. If we are looking widely on the psychotherapy world, or as a system, as a so how the existential approach might contribute or kind of be a place, or find a place for that, the place of the existential therapy in the whole world of the psychotherapy.
Of psychotherapy, Well, I've been quite involved in the world of psychotherapy too. I've spoken at all, I think, of the world psychotherapy congresses all over the world, and many people are interested in those ideas. Amongst psychotherapists, there are many people from different backgrounds, psychoanalytic backgrounds or cognitive behavioral backgrounds, you name it, who find out about these existential ideas, and maybe they're not going to retrain to become an existential therapist, but they're going to use some of those ideas. And so very gradually, we also see a movement of people from other orientations beginning to speak about existential issues and using some of those ideas. 25 years ago, nobody spoke about paradox. Go to any talk about a psychotherapist these days, and they mention paradox. How did that happen? It's just percolating through. When you talk about something that is relevant to people and that makes sense to them, they will take it on board and they'll make it their own. And that is wonderful. Then we don't have that conflictual fighting for who is better or, how to do it. But we learn from each other and we integrate things.
Great. Well, I think the future looks promising for the approach for all of us. And I hope to see you in 4 years at the next Congress.
Brilliant.
And all the best and the good luck for all of us, I think, in this approach.
Thank you very much. It might even be 3 years. We're talking about doing it more quickly.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you,
See
Emmy.
you in Denver.